You know, sometimes I hate to be right about these things. In my previous video, I spoke about this egg-shaped UFO retrieval video that Ross Coulthart was teasing. Well, it came out last night. Didn't even cause any waves, honestly. It came out on Twitter and instantly caused massive disappointment. We can go through some of the comments later on of people replying to this video. I've maybe seen a handful comments of people saying, wow, that's incredible. And then I've seen about 20,000 comments of people just being like, bro, what the heck is that, man? Like the disappointment, the lack of credibility, the disclosure movement, if you want to call it that, is in such a dark place at this point. And then they keep bombarding us with footage like this. In my personal opinion, I mean, feel free to leave a comment underneath if you think this is groundbreaking and incredibly believable footage or whatever. Feel free to leave your thoughts, right? But to me, it was such a massive disappointment because in a way I expected from all the teaser and the hype, because the build-up was severe, right? Everyone's like, oh my God, it's disclosure day. Before it came out, everyone was anticipating the 8 p.m. release date. Everyone was anticipating the release and expecting great things of this video. This is going to be it. This is the big video, a UAP egg-shaped retrieved from a place with clear footage. We got a little teaser video up front. I don't know if that was authentic. I just saw it on Twitter of like a helicopter flying in daylight conditions through the desert with a long line underneath. And so I expected a 3, 4, 5 minute video, daylight conditions, very clear, egg-shaped object, whatever that means, being retrieved from the desert. You know, that's what was in my mind. Well, instead we got a 12-second night vision film that looks rather goofy. I'm not gonna lie. It looks like garbage. So let's look at the footage itself. I'm gonna play the clip for you. I'm gonna link the film that we're looking at now down in the description as well. I'm gonna leave the audio off because it really is just Ross Coulthart commenting over it in a quite unbearable voice. I'm not gonna lie. So I think I'm going to do my own commentary over the video. But here we go. This is the highly anticipated UFO retrieval footage, the 12-second clip of an egg-shaped UAP being retrieved from an undisclosed location. We have no background. We don't know where this was. We don't know what's going on. What you see here is all we have. Let's take a look. So you see this long line here. It's allegedly around 150 feet long, so just under 50 meters, holding this object that sits in kind of a cradle, as Ross Coulthart calls it, but it's clearly like some kind of canvas or something that would hold the object. And you can see, allegedly in this video, the helicopter is like descending and then dropping, or like the object hits the ground, right? And then as it hits the ground, it starts rolling to the side. Now, the whistleblower, Jake Barber, okay, here's a picture of Jake Barber, incredibly ironic name for that haircut. Sorry, I couldn't resist. I apologize. And he claimed as he was approaching this object, he's the helicopter pilot, right? He's the guy who allegedly was in the helicopter flying it as this was filmed. He claimed that he had like this emotional experience as he was getting close to the object. He felt like there was a connection. It provided him with guidance, and almost it felt like a loving and beautiful spirit and a sense of sadness at the same time. So for him, approaching this object the way he describes it, and again, I'll link it down in the description, a little clip of the interview where he makes these statements. He describes it almost as like this spiritual experience of being close to this object and retrieving it from this undisclosed location. Also, what I noticed when I look at Jake Barber, bro doesn't blink, bro. Did you notice this? I mean, he's not saying he never blinks, but is that a military thing? I mean, maybe leave me a comment. I'm not aware of this. Is this a military thing that they teach you not to blink or something? But he doesn't blink. It's just something I noticed in this interview. You don't really see him properly blinking ever, which is kind of strange to me. I don't know. Maybe I'm missing something here, but yeah, that's what that is. And when it comes to his statement of saying he had this spiritual experience of this beautiful, loving spirit or whatever, it's like, that's nice, bro. But that's not quantifiable. You know, it's like, oh, I had this feeling. That's the same as I made a video about this a while back. Of all these people there like, guys, I have this feeling that something's gonna happen. Something big is just around the corner. It's like, yeah, that's nice. You have this feeling. I have feelings all the time. We all have feelings. But dude, you feel one thing, the guy next to you feels a completely different thing. That's not quantifiable. This is no evidence. I don't know why he even put this in this interview, Ross Coulthart, I mean, but sure, here he is mentioning that he felt like the spirit of God, but not in any masculine sense. Like apparently it was a very feminine spiritual experience. Whatever the frick that means, bro. So anyway, let's get back to the footage. There's a few observations I want to make up front before we talk about what this possibly could be. obviously, I'm not going to lie, the footage is so bad and so garbage that it's almost impossible to give 100% confirmation of what this is. But we can speculate. There are a few reasonable explanations out there, I think, that are more reasonable than it being an alien ship. Firstly, if this is an alien ship, this would be one of the most valuable items in the world, right? This item would be incredibly valuable, right? Yet, there's no military here. There is no staff on the ground to secure it, to keep it in position, right? As it lands, as it hits the ground. There's nothing that it lands on. They're just like, yeah, just drop it. Just over there. You see that grass patch? Just put it there. We'll pick it up later. I don't know. The guys just don't have time right now. So, we'll look at it later. Just drop it on that grass patch or something. Which is like, okay. And then obviously it just rolls around, which is another thing. It's like, here's this incredibly important alien artifact where it rolls, let it roll, you know, like let it just roll. And then they're hoisting it away with basic straps and cabling. You see it later here when he actually pauses the video. You see the cables here attaching to this long line with like a very, very simple canvas or whatever that holds it in place. Come on, man. Like, even if you think this is an alien craft or whatever, just the points I just listed should put all your alarm bells on. This makes absolutely no sense. Another observation is, I mean, again, this line apparently is around 150 feet, so about 40, 50 meters in length. But apparently, this helicopter that hovers right over this object has no, like the rotors have no impact on the surface underneath. I don't know what this is. Is this like a desert ground? Is it a grass patch? It's pretty hard to read what it is. But you would imagine that even if there are little patches of grass or little patches, like other elements that are common on the ground, that if a helicopter hovers 50 meters over the ground, there would be some impact. You would see some kind of movement in this floor just from the rotors and the heavy wind that the helicopter causes, but it seems like there's nothing. And I've seen this comment a few times under tweets like this, where people are like, yeah, well, the rotors of the helicopter, if it would be a balloon or something, it would just blow it away, right? It's like, no, you can see the rotors have no impact on the ground, so why would they have an impact on this object? You know what I mean? But it just rolls around. And generally, I have to say, this is a bold statement and all that, but this floor we see here, with this line, the whole thing looks dodgy to me. It almost looks like a model railroad landscaping grass patch or something. Do you know what I mean? Like as if they faked the whole thing. I'm not saying they did. I'm not saying the whole thing is faked. But there's something off. Like it almost looks like a bump texture in a 3D software as well. It just doesn't look right. And then again, considering that we only have these 12 seconds of footage, it's like, what am I supposed to think? But let's look at the object itself, right? You can see it here, and you can see these strings that are attached to the long line, pulling on it, almost pulling this tarp or whatever is covering it here, you know, pulling it to the side a little bit. And if you look very, very closely, you can actually see that where these ropes or strings or whatever pull on it, or where the tarp seems to be attached, right? Like there's one edge of the tarp here, a corner here, then there's one corner of the tarp here. Like, it seems like they're squishing the object in, you see. It's quite subtle because obviously the quality of the footage, despite Ross Coulthart claiming it's the sharpest footage of an craft that we have ever seen. It's garbage, bro. It's potato footage. And we can see the sides or the parts where the tarp seems to sit on top of this object, that it squishes it, that it pulls it in. And that tells me only one thing, that it's probably an inflatable. John Greenwell Jr. came forward with this tweet, theorizing of what it may be, okay, and in my opinion, it's fairly reasonable. He says, this is Drone Aviation's WASP light tactical aerostat developed in 2019 for the US Army. When inflated, it ranges from 13 to 17 feet, which roughly matches, I think they said it's around, like the pilot estimated it to be around 20 feet, so that roughly matches. I'm not saying the newly revealed about 20-foot long UAP footage is this specific aerostat, but hat tip to Osiris UAP for floating the aerostat theory. I decided to dig around with some quick research. It really starts to make you wonder if that's the right track. And he posts a few images of these aerostat balloons, and they look almost identical, I would say, right? I mean, this literally could be anything. I'm not saying it's definitely this. I'm not giving it the debunk stamp. But bro, this video it changes nothing, okay? As expected, it changes nothing. It is just another huge nothing burger, but this time with egg on the burger. The video itself is, in my opinion, a credibility nuke. It's ridiculous, especially considering the build-up. These guys claiming this is going to be the big change-bringing piece of information. This is the big thing, right? This is going to change everything, as it is every freaking time. I mean, I mentioned it in my previous video. How many times are people going to fall for this? And again, as we read comments in the last video, it is insane, you know, what's left of the disclosure movement. Nobody cares anymore, and nobody lends any credibility to footage like this. As I said, I maybe have seen like a handful of comments where people are like, wow, really puzzling, or, you know, they're not instantly discarding it, but the majority of people, you know, they're just ridiculing it. It's a joke at this point. And it seems like the whole disclosure movement has no credibility left. Where can they go from here? But let's read some of the comments under one of these posts here. This is, by the way, from the Disclosure Diaries. Let's see what people have to say. Clear question mark. It's just a grainy green nothing burger. Seems like a piece of trash. I cannot get serious about that. Here we get this video, okay? And that's what I mean. Like, look, the floor here doesn't look that far different. It's clean like a rug or whatever this person is using. We need an up-close video, and I think that's what a lot of people were anticipating, but we didn't get it. Dumbest video I've ever seen. Potato. Is it just? Could be just a potato. It's time we stop giving Ross Coulthart a platform. I'm really starting to lose my patience. This does not help at all. Totally hopeless at this point. Is this what we were waiting for? Right? This is exactly the point. It is unbelievable. And it's like, I think that's the bigger story here. When it comes to the disclosure movement and these moments of like, yeah, a whistleblower's just around the corner. Oh, we're going to have a Congress hearing. That changes everything. Oh, this footage we're going to release it. You know what I mean? They're creating these hype waves every single time. And the art is really not about the content you actually release or the quality of the whistleblower's information or the story or the quantifiable evidence that you have to back any of it up. It's not about that at all anymore. It really is just about how big of a hype wave can I create? How big can my name trend on Twitter for a week in advance? How many subscriptions do I get for my podcast coming from that? How many copies of my book do I sell leading up to this event? Then the actual event happens, the whistleblower comes out, the congressional hearing happens, or the video, like in this case, comes out, and it goes nowhere. And they probably know it, I don't know, but presumably they know there's nothing there. Right? It is really just about the hype wave and how big can you farm that leading up to this event. That's what it's about. Similar to boxing, right? This is something we see in more and more with boxing. It's like, oh, now Conor McGregor is fighting Mayweather. Huge hype wave. Everyone's losing their mind over it. The fight itself is boring. Mike Tyson is coming back. Jake Paul, the big, huge hype wave. We're selling merch and tickets and streaming and everyone's losing. The fight itself is nothing. It's a nothing burger, okay? So we're living in the day and age of these hype waves that have no outcome in the end. And I think that's just something we all have to realize, because if we don't ride the hype wave, if we already anticipate that this is going to be nothing, which at this point is more than reasonable in my opinion with the disclosure movement, then we're disarming these people. Then these people have nothing, because the substance of their releases, whether it's hearings, videos, whistleblowers, there is no substance there. They don't have anything on that end every single time. So I think that is the actual interesting story here, that we're living in a day and age of infinite hype waves that sell books, that generate excitement, that get people subscribed to podcasts and so on, but that never ever lead to satisfying outcomes, okay? So this was that one. Soon we're gonna allegedly get Dr. Stephen Greer's whistleblower coming. Look, I don't expect anything, and I hope you do the same. Let's see. And if disclosure comes one day and we actually get something tangible once, then we'll take it from there. But until then, just keep your expectations low. That's it, guys, for today. I hope you enjoyed the video. Apologize for my voice. It's more raspy than usual. I've been ill. I've been coughing for the last 4 days, so my throat and my lungs have suffered, so that's why I sound this way. I'm still not fully back, but I'm getting there. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, smash the like button, subscribe to the channel for more. Hope to see you in the next one. You can also join our Discord, okay? The link to that is in the description. Take care of yourselves, and I'm out. Bye.